Trey Yesavage started out in single A baseball this year, and he pitched not only game one, but game five of the World Series. He became the first pitcher since Mel Gibson, think about that, to strike out 12 batters, 7 innings, 2 hits against that lethal Dodger lineup. And after the Dodgers won that historic game three, which they also won, by the way, in 2018 against the Boston Red Sox, the Red Sox ended up going on to win that series in 5 games. Well, all of a sudden, the Dodgers can't hit. And Toronto's getting timely hitting, not only from the top of their lineup with Vlad Guerrero and all those guys, but down at the bottom of the lineup with Andres Jimenez. Toronto's just a really balanced team. It's one of the things I talked about going into the World Series was yes, the Dodgers have an all-star lineup and they have this great pitching staff and all that, but they've been inconsistent all year, and Toronto has been one of the best teams in baseball all year. They have the perfect mix of good power inning, good contact inning. Their starting pitching has came alive. Shane Bieber, who they got from the Cleveland Guardians at the trade deadline, another tremendous 6, 7 inning outing in game four to really set the tone. And what's interesting is in this series, I think especially in game four and game five, what I said going into this series, which was the one weak point of the Dodgers, was their bullpen. Again, I say it every time we talk about baseball this postseason about why I never believed in the Dodgers was because of their bullpen. And, I said the other day after the historic game three, I said Shohei Ohtani goes 9 for 9. He gets on base every time in that 18 inning game. No matter if the Dodgers win this series or not, you got to give him MVP. And I still think it's a valid argument because I think he's the most valuable player in the entire history of baseball. I think he should win MVP every year, even if Freddie Freeman gets the walk-off homer. But what Trey Yesavage did last night for Toronto, that will be a historic pitching performance that win or lose in this World Series, we'll talk about forever. I said the Gibby meet Freddie call, right? Dodgers win the World Series in five over the Yankees, but we'll never forget that bottom of the 10th Gibby meet Freddie call by Joe Davis in last year's World Series. In this year's World Series, we have 3 moments, and we're only in game six that we will never ever forget. You can make an argument for. Game one, Toronto with multiple home runs in that 6 inning, including a grand slam, scoring 9 runs. Yoshi Yamamoto's complete game two, the 18 inning game three, and then last night, Trey Savage's start. He's made more career starts, I believe, in the World Series than he did in AAA this year. And it does take time for major league hitters to adjust to pitching. I think that's why some starters come up and they're really good immediately. But to be not nervous, to be in that spot, to have the cojones he did, it's very similar to the Yankees guy who came out of the wild card round against the Red Sox and threw that game three. We're seeing a lot of success of young pitchers this postseason. I do think if this series gets to a game seven, which I think it absolutely deserves, we'll see. It'll be interesting to see if Toronto can get a hold of Yoshi Yamamoto now that they're going to see him for the second time. Same reason, obviously, with Evan Gosman in LA. But the Dodgers were the ones who struck first and struck late in game two and in game three. Toronto struck first in game four. The back-to-back home runs to start the game set the tone. And I think whoever gets the lead early in game six, especially if it's Toronto, that crowd's going to go insane. The Blue Jays lead the league in comebacks this year. And I think these two teams are more even than it looked like originally on paper, especially when Mookie Betts is struggling as hard as he is for the Dodgers. He's become almost a liability in the lineup. He's had a bad World Series. He's had a couple errors as well. So I don't think this takes away from the Dodgers' greatness. I think Toronto is a team that may be built for destiny. I mean, they had to overcome down 2-0 against Seattle, win four out of their next five. They had to overcome being down 2-1 here against the Dodgers and to win the next two in LA to set yourself up where you have 2 games in Toronto and you've only got to win one of them to come out on top of the World Series. Interestingly enough, in 3 of the 5 games so far in this World Series, the road team has won. And that's one of the things we talked about where, you know, in baseball, the road team and the home team doesn't really matter as much. Home field advantage does not matter as much. The crowd is not on top of you like the NBA, not as noisy or weather environment as it is in the NFL. You know, this is hot weather in LA, this is dome weather in Toronto, pretty similar stuff there. Um, it's just momentum, and momentum can only take you as far as the next starting pitcher. But I said going into the World Series, I wanted this World Series. I thought the Dodgers could win in 5 or 6. I said that this is a pretty short series. I wanted to have historic moments. And that's one of the things we've got. And no matter who you're rooting for, unless you're a Blue Jays or Dodgers fan, I think if you're just a casual sports fan, we're all rooting for at least the Dodgers in Game 6. Because either we're going to have an historic Game 6 where it's an extra inning game and Toronto wins, okay, or we have a Game 7. I think the series deserves 7. I think this has been one of the best series, especially World Series, that baseball has had in a long time. And it's a really great watch. You know, they're not slog games to get through. Both these teams are very similar in styles. John Schneider, Dave Roberts are both very likable managers. There's not a lot of unlikable things to not like about this World Series. So, um, my prediction is going to be Dodgers in 7, but don't hold me to it. You know, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. Tuesday, we'll recap it, and that will be the conclusion of the 2025 baseball season. One season away from potentially a historic lockout in 2027. Like that clip from the Brands World podcast? If so, make sure you go down there and hit that subscribe button. While you're down there hitting the subscribe button, make sure to also hit the notification bell so you never miss another upload. And make sure you check out all the other clips from the Brands World podcast right here on YouTube.